please feel free to come down onto the mat. You can start with some gentle stretching or some nice relaxing breaths. And we will begin together shortly in just a moment. All right, so if you're not already laying down on the floor, I'll ask that we start our practice together today in Shavasana. Laying all the way down, releasing the shoulders, allowing the hips to open as the legs fall wide. And we'll take just a couple slow, deep breaths. As we start to focus on our breathing, becoming more aware of every muscle in our body. Noticing if we're holding any tension in our feet, our fingers, our backs, or our necks. Checking in with the muscles of our face, releasing the eyes, the jaw. And as we begin to become more mindful, becoming present and aware, we'll use our breath to help maintain our attention and our focus. If we notice our thoughts ever wandering, bringing our present thought back into our breathing. Let's focus on our inhale, and we focus on our exhale. Now, with our next big breath in, I'll ask that we reach our arms up long overhead, taking a big, long reach. Maybe feeling this stretch through the backs or the shoulders, maybe even the ribs. Engaging our diaphragm, filling that balloon that lives under the rib cage, allowing the stomach to rise up to the ceiling with each breath in, and feeling that balloon deflate as we exhale. Bringing our arms into our sides, gently gathering the knees into our chest. And as we hug the knees in, we'll rock side to side, gently meeting out knots in our lower backs. Noticing any tension we may be holding on to through the hips. Continuing to hold knees to chest, let's start to roll through the feet, the ankles, wiggling the toes. Taking the feet gently down to the ground now. Feet are placed roughly hips width distance apart as we prepare for a little bit of ab work, some activation through the core. Taking hands to the back or side of head, gently tucking the chin as we engage abdominal muscles. We'll inhale, lift the head and shoulders up, and exhale, release. Inhale, lift, contracting the abs. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, very good. 2 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Last time. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lowering down. Taking our arms down by our sides, we'll walk our heels in a little bit closer towards the body, preparing for glute bridges. Let's make sure our collars are open wide. As we inhale, lift the hips up, squeezing through the glutes, activating the hip muscles. And exhale, slowly release, vertebrae by vertebrae. Inhale, lifting our hips up. Exhale, slowly lowering down. We'll do 2 more of these. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, release. And last one. Inhale, lifting high. And exhale, slowly lower. Gently releasing our legs to one side as we prop ourselves up. We're going to come over onto hands and knees, taking our tabletop position. Now, as we find ourselves positioned on all fours, let's make sure that we're comfortable on our hands, spreading out the fingers. Our knees and feet are about hips-width distance apart, really drawing in the abdominal muscles, keeping our neck long. We'll take some cows and cats. Inhale, looking forward with the eyes, opening our chest. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, pulling the bellies in, rounding our back. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Releasing tension from the spine. Inhale, open, lengthening the front of our body. Exhale, round. Inhale, open. Last time, exhale, round. Really pulling the bellies up. And pressing back into child's pose. Whatever version of child's pose you need to take today, trying to sink our hips nice and low, and we'll reach our arms forward. As we do so, we can relax our heads down. Next, I'll invite us to take a modified flow series, inhaling forward into a kneeling plank. We exhale, slow lower, chaturanga. Inhale, press straight up into plank. And exhale, push back into child's pose. This is our half series. Inhaling forward, staying modified with knees on the ground. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, press straight up. Exhale, pushing back into child's pose. Inhale forward last time. Exhale, hovering above the mat. Inhale, press straight up. And exhale, push back into child's pose. Now we'll walk our hands and feet together, slowly coming up to the top of our mat. Taking a monkey pose, half lift, pulling our shoulder blades together, soft knees. Little stretch in the hamstrings, feels good. And as we soften our knees, we'll inhale, reverse swan dive, lift tall up to prayer, and exhale, release down. Very nice. I'd like us to position ourselves right at the top of our mat, making sure that we're comfortable in our mountain pose. Mountain pose being feet hips-width distance apart, shoulders rolling down at the top, zipping up through the core. Let's feel grounded through all 4 corners of our feet, really strong through the thighs, tall through the crown of our head, soft through the knees as we take our sun salutation series, just 2 times today. Big inhale, lift our hands up. Now exhale, swan dive, hinging at our hips into forward fold. Inhale, halfway up into monkey. Exhale, release into forward fold. Let's get the blood pumping as we soften the knees, step back into plank position. Push back into down dog or child's pose if you prefer. Taking a half series, we inhale forward. We can keep the legs straight or come back down into that modified plank as we slowly lower chaturanga to the mat. This time we'll come up to cobra, lifting ourselves through baby or full, pressing all the way back into down dog or child's pose. Listen to the body, take the pose that works for your body today. Walking or stepping our feet up between our hands, coming halfway up to monkey. Softening our knees, let's inhale, reverse, tall up to prayer, sweeping into chair. We'll sit, doing that one more time. Big inhale, lift tall. Exhale, swan dive into forward fold. Inhale, halfway up to monkey. Exhale, release into fold, stretching those hamstrings, softening the knees as we step all the way back into plank, pushing back into down dog or child's pose. Continuing with our flow series, we'll inhale. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, press back, down dog or child. Walking or stepping our feet up between our hands. Coming halfway up to monkey. Softening those knees as we inhale, reverse. Exhale, sweep, sitting through chair. Inhale, tall. Now this time I'll ask us to release our hands down, thread the hands behind for a chest expansion. We start to straighten out the arms, puffing up the chest. We can stay here, or for anyone who feels just like we need a little bit more stay, feel free to soften the knees and fold forward with that chest stretch. We'll just stay here for 3 more breaths. Starting to release our arms, bending those knees. Big inhale, reverse. And exhale, release all the way down to forward fold, reaching our arms towards the ground, or they can hold either elbow in ragdoll, or they can always reach for the feet. Please take the arms with the best, I don't want to say match, but what works for our body. Softening our knees, we'll take our hands down as we step just the left foot back into a lunge. Now slowly lifting our arms up, holding crescent lunge. Crescent lunge is on our back toes, trying to trigger that quadricep muscle as we bend forward into our front knee. We'll stand tall here, feeling a really nice opening of that back hip. Staying in that crescent lunge position, we're now going to open into warrior 2. We turn to the long edge of our mat. Hips and shoulders now face the side, continuing to bend into the right knee. Feel proud across the shoulders. Preparing next from warrior 2 into reverse warrior. We're going to maintain our legs as we lift that right hand high to the ceiling. Opening up, lifting tall through that right side body. The left hand can be ever so gentle against the leg or support itself in the back. Let's keep bending forward and through that right knee. On our next inhale, sweep the arms high. Exhale, waterfall the hands down through lunge, stepping back into plank, where we'll come back into down dog or child's pose. Preparing to repeat our half series 2 times. We inhale forward into plank, modified or full. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, press back, down dog or child's pose. Doing this just once more. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, scoop up. And exhale, press back. Now taking a look at our hands, let's sweep that left foot all the way up. And whenever you're ready with your balance, we'll now take crescent lunge with the left foot forward, the right leg directly behind us, trying to stay up on those tippy toes. Watch the shoulders, keeping them down. We don't often get an opportunity to really check in with our posture, our shoulders throughout the day, likely hunched over a desk or some sort of work surface. So making sure that during our practice today, we're really attending to our posture. Now from crescent lunge, we'll turn our body to the side of our mat in warrior 2, continuing to bend into our left knee now. Pull the bellies in, the shoulders back, strong through those arms, lots of energy through the fingers. Keeping that knee open. Couple big breaths. Preparing for reverse warrior. Now we take the left hand, we lift it high to the ceiling, bending into that left knee. That right hand is ever so gentle against leg or back, not leaning, but lifting, extending, creating space, becoming expansive. Big inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, slow spiral. Sweep back to plank. Press back into down dog or child's pose. Now choosing to stay in our stretch or joining me for 2 more repetitions of our half series. We can inhale forward through plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, press back, down dog or child. Once more, inhale forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, press back. Now this time as we look forward between our hands, we're going to kick our right foot high to the sky. Sweep it all the way up between our hands, placing that back heel on the ground as we reach up our legs. Good. Trying to keep hips and shoulders facing front as we reach our arms up tall, establishing warrior one. Shoulders down, back leg is straight as we bend forward into that front knee. Now from warrior one, I want us to slow our breathing and prepare to take our pyramid stretch, one of my favorite hamstring stretches. We'll bring our hands down as we straighten out that front leg. Gently hinge forward. Legs are straight with a slight softness in the knee. You can think of it as a little bit of a bend if you need to. And as we start walking down the thigh, maybe we keep our hands high above the knee, down low on the shin, or perhaps even coming to the foot, a block if you've got yoga block accessible, or down on the ground. Trying to keep both hips and shoulders facing equally and evenly to the floor. Avoid that twist, instead keeping a nice straight back. And as we exhale, we feel just a little bit more length each breath cycle. Gently softening that knee. We're going to ground our hands on either side as we sweep that right foot back behind us into plank, pressing back into down dog or child's pose. Taking our left foot high to the sky. Looking up between our hands as we kick that left foot forward, helping the foot get there. However we need to stack that knee above ankle, preparing for warrior one. We place the right foot completely on the ground this time, angling that back foot out as much as you need to in order to get the foot planted. Hips and shoulders face forward. We bend into the left knee. We lift our arms high, shoulders come down. Zipping up through the middle. Take an opportunity to quiet our breath. Couple nice big inhales and nice big exhales. Very calming, peaceful pose. It's warrior one. Good. Getting in a relaxed state, preparing for that hamstring release, posterior chain stretch in pyramid. We'll bring our arms down, straightening out the legs again. Leave that slight bend or slight softness in the knee. So we start to hinge forward, leaving our backs flat. Walking down the leg, taking our hands as low as they'll go without expectation. In yoga, we really try to follow that philosophy of checking our ego at the door, trying to stay mindful, staying present without expectation or judgment or competition, listening to our body and entering each pose, modifying it with every breath, without any ideas of what it should look like or feel like. And we take that introspective look and now become aware of how it feels without needing to fix it. Now, as we start to soften that knee, we'll bring our hands down to the floor, sweeping that knee behind us, coming back into our down dog or child's pose. From here, you can stay in our stretch, or I'll ask that we repeat our half series 2 more times. Inhaling forward through plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, scooping up for cobra. Exhale, pressing back, down dog or child. One more time, if we're stretching here, inhale forward. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, sweep up. And exhale, press back. Walking or stepping our feet up towards our hands, we'll come halfway up to monkey. Softening those knees, inhale, reverse swan dive, lift tall. And exhale, release. Couple big breaths, readjusting on our mat if we need to. We're going to actually face the long edge of our mat rather than the top if you'd like to turn your body, taking our legs out into a wide stance, preparing for a sit or a straddle split with a forward fold. Softness through the knees. Let's inhale, reach those arms up nice and tall. Exhale, swan dive, and as we do so, we forward fold, hinging at those hips. Feel free to stop as soon as we feel a stretch, keeping the knees as bent as they need to be. Some of us will have our hands touching our legs, maybe holding those elbows in ragdoll or reaching for the floor. If we have the option to reach for the floor, I'll encourage you to walk your hands out, reaching farther forward and using that tension to pull the hips back, stretching longer through the back and stretching more through the hips, if that's available to you. Otherwise, please relax into a position that we feel a stretch and is comfortable. Now, while we're here, we're going to walk over towards our right foot. So whether we're holding onto the right thigh or reaching towards that foot, just notice a little bit of stretch as we draw our attention to the inside of that right leg. Often an ignored area that we don't release or stretch regularly through the inside of that hip. Slowly walking over towards the other side now, towards that left side. Regardless of where those hands are, just taking note and then really imaging or imagining that left inner thigh releasing. Slowly walking in through the middle again, softening the knees more so as we walk our hands up onto the thighs if they weren't already there. Taking our time as we slowly come up, roll those shoulders down, and we can walk our feet together. Facing to the front of your mat, preparing for some balance. Now, if we've noticed that our balance was a little off today, that's okay. Again, we're not here to judge or fix anything. Instead, we're working with our body. So as we come into balance, if you need help moving towards a wall or a ledge of a table, if that's accessible, rolling those shoulders down, we're first going to take a stork position with our leg, which is one leg raised. We start by just transferring the weight into our left side, making sure we feel comfortable on that left foot. That right toe can come down to the floor as often as necessary. We'll lift the we'll lift the right leg up to 90 degrees if that's an option. The arms can stay low hanging branches, or I'd recommend coming out to the side. Now, while we're here, if it's available as an option, we're going to rotate at the hip 90-90. We inhale the knee out towards the side. Exhale, draw it in. Inhale, open. Otherwise, we're just holding the leg. Exhale, in. Inhale, open. Exhale. Twice more. Inhale, working that hip mobility. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And release. Fidgeting through the feet, rolling those shoulders down, establishing Tadasana, mountain pose, so we can repeat the stork on the left. We start by transitioning the weight into that right foot. We'll lift that left foot up off the ground, flexing the foot, seeing if we can take the foot, and then lift the knee up 90 degrees. Now, as we've lifted the leg, we can reach the arms out to the side, choosing to stay in this static hold or join me in 5 flows. Inhale, opening the hip. Exhale, draw the knee in. Inhale, open. Exhale. Good. Inhale, open. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale, open. Exhale. Inhale, open. Exhale. And release. Fidgeting out those feet, reestablishing our place at the top of our mat if we're not there already. Big inhale, lift up. Coming down into forward fold, we exhale, hinge at the hips, and reach low. Softening the knees, relax the head, maybe even shaking the head no, encouraging that response. Nodding the head yes. Take our time as we step all the way down onto hands and knees. We're going to be lowering ourselves completely onto our stomach, making sure that you're happy on your mat. You've got lots of room. We'll start with our hands under our shoulders just to ensure that we're good with our space. Breathing into the mat can be uncomfortable, especially since we're trying to breathe with our diaphragm. So noticing there will be a little restriction, that's okay. We'll take our locust pose, bringing our arms down by our sides. Pull those shoulder blades in together. Squeezing the abdominal muscles, we'll lift our arms and legs up. Long necks, pointing through the toes, reaching through those fingers, squeezing those leg muscles. See if we can hold the Superman position, knowing that we can release the feet to the floor or take the hands on the ground, just like baby cobra at any point. Otherwise, we'll hold this for 2 more breaths. Last big inhale, and exhale, release. Just taking a moment, laying down on the ground, making sure that we're comfortable here. And we'll come into our bow pose next. Taking our hands under our shoulders this time. We'll do either half bow or full bow. So I'll demonstrate first. If you're doing half, you're going to grab just one foot with one hand. If you're doing both, then we'll take both feet. Joining me, and we'll lift up just like we did locust. So choosing whether it's half or full, I'll cue for both. 1, 2, 3, lift. We start to pull our feet up, which pull the shoulders back, opening up through the chest, stretching through the thighs, trying to keep the legs close. If you were doing half bow, we'll release that arm and leg down now, switching to the other side, and you can lift that side up now, joining us. Continuing to lift up nice and tall here, full stretch across the chest. And together we'll take that final big inhale. Exhale, release the arms, release the legs. And another couple of big breaths here. Hands come underneath those shoulders or rib cage. Let's lift up into one big cobra stretch. Lovely to expand across the chest. And find some spinal extension. Pressing back into child's pose. Noticing a little bit of extra length that maybe we've gained in the lower back, and then just releasing that head. Slowly coming up through tabletop. We'll sit onto our hips as we sweep the legs around. Taking another straddle split, this time we'll do it seated. So as we extend our legs out forward, we'll open the legs into a comfortable split position, however wide that may be for you, preparing for our revolving head pose, or side stretch in split. Reaching our arms out long, taking a nice big inhale. Exhale towards that right foot, lifting that left arm nice and high to the sky, trying to keep your hips seated on the ground, our legs straight, toes pointing up to the ceiling, working on that lateral extension of the left side. Big inhale, lift up, reaching towards that left foot. Trying to really find that space too. Notice ear and shoulder, lots of space, never hunching, never rounding, always expanding. Big inhale, lift up, and exhale, release. Taking ourselves into our half Lord of the Fishes pose. We're going to start by taking our right leg and trying to tuck it in, pointing the knee to the front. So you've got your right knee bent, bringing that knee forward. A couple of things we can do here. We can now take this left foot and see if we can bring it over to the outside of that thigh. If that's already uncomfortable, you can bring this foot in just close. And if you're thinking, nope, this isn't working with my knees, then what you'll do instead is a seated spinal twist, which will be the leg raised coming here. So if you want to, we can just take this position. Otherwise, following me as we take that right knee forward, left foot across. And if anyone needs more, you can stack knee on top of knee. Holding this here, we'll start to take our twist. So if you had your right knee up, you'll twist over towards your right shoulder. If you're taking half Lord of the Fishes, you've got your left knee on top. We're going to try twisting over that left shoulder. Feeling a lot of sensation through that left hip if we were able to lift that knee on top. Perhaps feeling a stretch through the side as well, through the shoulders. Taking one more big inhale, and exhale, slowly release. Regardless of which version of that posture we just took, take your time getting out of it. If you're taking side bend, you'll just have your left knee bent, and we'll be rotating, looking over that left shoulder. If you're doing Lord of the Fishes with me, I'll ask that we start by tucking that left knee in, so the left knee faces directly to the front, and then we take that right foot across, whether we've got the foot on the ground, the knee pointing up to the ceiling, or if we're trying to take knee on top of knee. A lot of stretch through those hips. Sitting up really tall. If you're in seated spinal twist, look over your left shoulder. If you're in Lord of the Fishes, let's start crossing over the right shoulder. Feeling most of the stretch through the right hip as it is the leg on top. Slowly releasing to the front, taking our time getting out of that. And release. We're going to slowly come all the way down onto the floor. Focusing on the outside of those hips for our final 2 exercises. As we draw the knees into our chest, feel free to give ourselves a nice big hug. Taking our feet down to the ground, crossing our right foot over that left knee into figure 4. We can gently push the knee open, noticing the stretch in the outside of the right hip again. Or we can take hands underneath the left thigh, starting to push that knee away with the right elbow if it's available to you. Otherwise, trying to just relax through the face, relax through the shoulders. We'll hold that stretch for 2 more breaths. And switch. Taking our left foot across now. Maybe staying here, just pressing the knee open with our hands. Perhaps this is quite relaxing and enjoyable. If we think we need more, we can try putting those hands and threading them underneath the other thigh, the right leg. Using that left elbow to gently pry the knee away and open. Try to stay soft through the face. Noticing if we're furrowing our brows or clenching our jaw. Just 2 more breaths here. And we'll slowly release that. Coming into our final stretch, our arms come out to the side. We lift both knees up 90 degrees, preparing for spinal twist. Take an inhale at the top. And as we lower, we exhale the legs to one side. Looking away from those knees. Feel free to take that top hand on top if it feels good. Notice both shoulders melting into the mat, the stretch along that top side. Inhale both knees up through the middle. And as we exhale, we lower the legs to the other side. Try to keep both shoulders flat on the floor. And we can look away from those knees. Slowly lifting the knees back in. Feel free to give ourselves one final big hug. We can take our feet down. If we choose to take a restorative posture, perhaps the knees are folded in together, allowing the backs to release and relax. Otherwise, I'll recommend we find our legs extended, hips open, feet falling wide, establishing our Shavasana position. Releasing our arms down as we close our eyes. Become more aware of our breath once again. At this point in our practice, releasing any lingering muscle tension, surrendering our body to the mat, becoming weightless. Focusing more on our breathing, taking that deep, slow inhale through the nose, followed by a complete and full exhale. Noticing our diaphragm with our breathing, that balloon filling up with air on our inhale, and the balloon deflating on our exhale. As we take our last couple of breaths together, enjoying the spinal relaxation, let's take a moment and appreciate our practice. Appreciate that we ourselves have taken our health and our fitness, our mental well-being, that emotional health, our physical health, into a priority. We've worked through our breathing, we've calmed our nervous system, we've stretched our muscles, we've relaxed the mind. Saying thank you as we draw those knees in, giving ourselves a big hug. As we do so, let's roll through our ankles, reawakening the body, maybe even gently side to side rocking. We can continue the side to side, over onto one side, any side, into fetal position to gently help us push ourselves up into that easy seated posture, where we'll say our final goodbye, taking crisscross or lotus, half lotus, whatever is our preferred seated posture. Hands can come down on top of the legs, sitting up as tall as we can sit. Nice smile to end our class, making ourselves have a slightly more positive outlook for the rest of our day. As we inhale, lift our hands tall above head to prayer. Exhale, coming down through heart center. Namaste. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.